And so you have a passion for children. You love children.
I do.
You love their safety. You care about their well-being.
Absolutely.
So how did that passion start?
Well, you are born with it, right? But you don't know how to actually put it out there other than being a parent with your own children. So as a parent, you always, are like making sure that your kids are, where they are. But I actually expanded this passion that I have. At the beginning, I probably was the beginning of 2003, 2004. I became a volunteer of the alternative schools in the state of Georgia. So alternative schools are the ones where the kids are sent. We're going to refer kids, but actually we're talking about juveniles. But so they are sent to these alternative schools once they behave bad. And they go through what is called the 3 strikes. And once they actually use all their strikes, they are sent to these schools. And then you have them go there and see if they can make up, behave well this time. Then they go to another 3 strikes again, and then they are kicked out of the system. So while I was doing that, I also became part of a volunteer for the special unit, gang suppression unit.
How did you get involved with that unit?
I was doing a lot of community work
Okay.
at the time, and I got to know the police officers and stuff, and I wanted to become a police officer myself.
Okay.
So I think that's what gave me kind of a little bit of introduction of what was like coming from a family where my father was a homicide detective and my mom was a teacher. So I
Wow.
grew up in a very structured family.
Yeah.
I became in contact with the police officers, and I started volunteering with them with the gang suppression unit and working along with the community to try to help and rescue the kids that were involved in gangs, especially Latino kids in the state of Georgia. So that developed further and further. I became a police officer, and for some reason, I keep attracting all the cases of juveniles.
Where were you a police officer?
I was a police officer for the state.
For
Georgia? For
For
the state of Georgia.
Okay.
Yes. And so I was first detention officer, so I worked in the jail. And then from there, I moved on to the road and work on the road. So while I was on the road, I kept coming across, I don't know what it was. It was just an attraction, I guess, coming across juveniles with trouble. And
So is on the road, is that patrol?
It's patrolling.
Patrol
Yeah.
unit.
You
Okay,
patrol.
gotcha.
You had your patrol and
unit.
then you
Okay.
patrol the streets, right?
Okay, got it.
Very funny cases that I remember. Like one time we had a chase down in one of the main highways here, and I'm the responding officer. So we go down there and we pull them over. Finally, we see the car stops at a certain point, and all forces around the area responded to that call. And I was a sergeant.
What year was this?
We're talking about between 2004 and 2007, late 7 to 8.
Okay.
So I was a sergeant, and I remember that one of the police officers from another department actually opened the door to get the person who was driving, and they pull him by the shirt like this and hang him, and it was a kid. And they tell me, Sergeant, do you want him? And
Wow.
I'm like, what? So ended up being one 10-year-old and I think it was an 8-year-old. They took the van.
Were they like from another country, or were they from here?
No. There was right here in Marietta.
But I mean, where were they? Where were those kids
They
from?
were Americans.
They were American.
Yeah,
okay.
they were Americans, Caucasian kids.
Okay,
so
okay.
they had taken the van from their grandmother to go see their father, who was in jail in Tennessee. And it was a sad story, and we took him. And of course, it was funny because the younger brother, as soon as the police officers show up, he was just talking, telling everything, while the one that was driving was tough. And I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to give you no information. And keep telling the brother, shut up. Like one was the tough kid and the other one was the soft kid.
Right.
So I remember we had to arrest him and take him to the police station and wait until the parents show up. But stories like that, it kept coming up. And it was so much to the point that they started calling me Sergeant Mama at the police department. So every single case they had juveniles, they would put on my desk and help me handle and go to juvenile court and to the juvenile jail and take them over there under custody and stuff like that. From there on, after I leave police work, I become, I go back to college and, deal with my doctorate and everything else.
What did you get a PhD for?
It's called forensic behavior.
Okay.
So the degree says forensic psychology, but in the state of Georgia, it is illegal to call yourself a psychologist, even when your title from college tells you that you are one. So it is illegal until you get it validated with the board, and then to get it validated with the board, you have to go to certain standards, and you have to go to a specific universities, and everything is a mess. So you ended up, just call it forensic behavior because we are the kind of people who evaluates behavior. Okay. So basically that career was meant to be to work with law enforcement, FBI, and so you can do a profile in somebody's behavior, and you can analyze, and you can basically profile, somebody.
So tell me a little bit about your training with the GBI. Why was that? Why did you decide to do that?
So that came in. So while you are in law enforcement, you go through a lot of training, right? But I decided to leave the police force late in 2007. It came to the situation. I was a single mom, and it came to the situation where I had to choose if I was going to continue to be a police officer or I was going to be a mom. Okay. So I confronted a lot of challenges, not only financial, but I had a teenager at the time, and I have a younger kid with special needs. So, I was working night shift. It was very, very challenging.
Wow.
So I decided to be a mom. So I left police work, with tears in my eyes, because I think it was a career that I absolutely adored, loved. But I had to do it. So when that happens, I transition into let's go back to college. I had to prepare myself better. I want to have, a career. I want to make more money. I'm a single woman, so I have to really man up here for the kids, right? So I go through that.
You couldn't do night shift as a police officer?
I did night shift, but as you do night shift, it's midnight. And that was the challenge, because me speaking Spanish and working in the special units like DUI, you work all night. And then my kids were at home. I had a teenager with a 7-year-old with special needs, and all night long.
Wow.
So that wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So I decided to, leave the career, my passion behind, and just dedicate myself to do something different while I was with my kids every night.
So you have 2 kids?
2 boys.
Okay, got you.
What happened in 2013, 2014, and 2015, I get involved in the human trafficking, and I get involved so much that I know how do they operate. I know their phone numbers.
You know the phone number of the human traffickers?
Back then.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So these people is very well organized. Remember, the human trafficking, especially child trafficking, is a multi-million-dollar industry.